Okay, so I've been testing this deck for the past 2 weeks, and this might actually be the new way to play blue-white blockers. The meta's been shifting fast, with blue-green aggro running wild as one of the most popular and successful decks right now. Also, there's a new rise of the blue-purple deck with the release of the new STO5 Iron Bloom, meaning that there's just more aggressive deck choices in the meta right now. This is not so good for the previous blue-white unicorn lists as they just struggle against these aggressive decks. But with this new list originally built by my friend Danny, this completely flips that around. How? With more early blockers and more ways to make powerful tempo swings in the mid game. So the game plan with the deck is the same. It's to survive the early game, outvalue your opponents with good trades, and eventually out-resource them. We're definitely more comfortable in the long game as we have some of the best card draws in the game with the GDO1 Gundam and Show of Resolve. So for early game survival, we're running 10 cheap blockers, which is 3 Zoworts, 4 Lfriths, and 3 of the new Graze Commanders. Before the Graze Commanders, most blue-white lists ran around 7 to 8 early blockers, which meant some of the hands you might actually not see any early blockers at all. But with 10, you're way more consistent at seeing these early blockers, and that's super huge because if you're missing these early blockers against aggro, you basically lose on the spot. Mid-game, assuming you haven't gotten ran over by aggro and placed down your early blockers, one of the scariest things that the aggro player can do is go wide with 4 to 5 units and not swing. They're waiting for the right pieces like an armor array or a linked unit to end the game on the spot instead of going through all of your units. This forces you to find an armor array early to deal with their board, but the problem is you only have 4 armor arrays, so it's going to be tough to find multiple armor arrays early. This is where the Sword Strike is amazing. If they decide to take the chill route, you can link the Sword Strike Gundam and you can proactively bounce one of their units each attack. This is huge because it puts the aggro player on a clock. It enforces them to move in into all your blockers before they're ready, or deal with a Sword Strike, which is a plus, or they just eventually lose. For the Gundams, we're running 3 of the GDO1 Gundams and 1 of the starter deck Gundams. I used to run 3 to 4 of the starter deck Gundams because the +1 AP on all your units was so good, but now running 1 of them actually makes a lot more sense. The GDO1 Gundam is amazing because every time you pair it, you get to draw a card, which allows you to have a healthy hand size. This makes the deck run way more smoother and way more consistent. A lot of the times I'm using the GDO1 Gundam link to crash into one of my opponent's large link units, and I actually don't mind losing my link because I technically use just 1 card to deal with their 2 card combo. Fits perfectly with making good trades. The deck also runs 3 Ails and 2 Perfect Strikes, which are solid 4/4 blockers, which are perfect in the current meta. They're great against aggro because 4/4 blockers are amazingly statted, and it also survives against Wing Zero's board wipe. Now with the Justice Gundam. Wow. I'll be honest, I used to think Justice Gundam was pretty mid because every time I saw it in the red-white list, they'd usually be losing by then. But in this blue-white list, it's actually insane. The Justice Gundam gives you a 5/5 body and a 2/2 token. So that's 7/7 worth of stats across 2 bodies. If you think about it this way, it's even better statted than Wing Gundam 0, which is only 1 unit at 5/7. Justice Gundam is also a super flexible card. It allows you to go wide to attack, or it allows you to get a blocker to defend, which is why it's super strong. For bases, we're running 4 Corsica bases, easily one of the best bases right now. On curve, it gives you a free 4/2 body, which is amazing, and in the late game, it just spits out 2 1/1s to help you go wide. Draw cards are super standard, 3 Show of Resolves and 4 Overflowing Affections. Blue-white just has some of the best draw cards in the game right now. Command cards are where we're getting a little bit spicy. We're running 3 Unforeseens and 2 Naval Bombardments. Both kind of fill the same roles as they're used to turn a bad trade into a good one. And honestly, some of these huge trades with these cards win you games on the spot. And finally, we're running 1 Striker Pack. It's super flexible as it can be a cheap blocker or a clutch burst option against aggro. Overall, this version of the blue-white blockers finally gives you a real shot against the meta. You're consistent early, you have many strong mid-game plays, and the Justice Gundam is super amazing. It lets you adapt your game plan depending on the deck you're playing against. I think this is the best way to play blue-white blockers right now, especially if your locals are full of aggro players. I'll be testing this deck against the new blue-purple deck and also green-white ramp, so make sure you're subscribed if you want to see how it holds up.